Hey guys, Kevin Cage back with another cryptocurrency update. Welcome to the channel. Like and subscribe if you're serious about investing in the digital asset space. And let's get right into it today. One take and uncut. I will be going through a bunch of information. There will be a bunch of videos coming out in the next 2 days, so please be sure to stick around and watch all of them, and I will kind of try to breeze through the content and not try to repeat too much that we already know. I know a lot of YouTube videos have come out recently covering the topics, so I will kind of breeze over them and maybe add a few points that I feel are relevant. So without further ado, I do want to go over this recent fireside chat, and we will be talking about the local payments networks and how they're already connected to Ripple, whether it's FPS or even chaps as well. Okay, tips, we know all these groups are connected to Ripple. We understand that interledger protocol will be fundamental, and again, sourcing liquidity, running over the XRP ledger, whether it's on-demand liquidity, core to settler, anything like that, utilizing transactions, it still goes over the XRPL. When that volume goes over and there are increased size payments, it drives the price up within the order books. Specifically, if algorithmic stablecoins, like David Short says, will be a big part of the future, that will greatly reduce the supply, increasing the demand of the circulating XRP. So remember, none of this is financial advice, but just remember, this information is here. And for those that listen and pay attention and do your own research, don't even take everything I say, 100%. Take it with a grain of salt. Double check, and I'm sure you'll realize the same thing. So really quick, there was this fireside chat with Ripple exploring payments innovation. This just came out June 15th, 2020. One of my favorite people here at the top right here. This is Marcus Treacher, SVP of Customer Success at Ripple. Just so you know, this is not just some guy. He has over 30 years of experience in transaction banking, payment technology, etc. 12 years in global leadership roles at HSBC, one of the big banks I said to keep an eye out with AIIB and ADB in China. Keep an eye out on them. Again, this is also a RippleNet partner. No surprise. They've tested sending huge amounts over the XRP ledger, whether it's, just IOUs, they are still showing the application and utility there. Also, he did serve as a member of the global board of Swift for 6 years, from 2010 to 2016. And also before that for HSBC, all those roles. And even before HSBC, he actually held leadership positions at Citigroup and Accenture. Guys, it all goes back to these RippleNet partners. Accenture, one of the original investors in the Ripple and obviously the XRP ecosystem, driving innovation. Accenture is the behemoth, helping not only Swift with their GPI products connecting to DLT, not only helping with R3 and their Corda test and integration with Swift GPI. There's just too many connections in the space, and eventually it just makes you go, Eventually there are too many coincidences. Understand, this is the very tip of the iceberg. There are some researchers in this community that are levels beyond me, so much smarter than me, and I'm just trying to get out some of the basic high-level information for those that obviously are curious about XRP and looking at the upside, not concerned about current price, not concerned with becoming a millionaire overnight, but understanding that investing in these emerging asset classes have some of the biggest upside for those that do their own research and understand where we are right now today. So also with Marcus Treacher, before I go over, and I will be talking about XRP, don't worry, it's going to be a big rant, but basically he was also is an independent non-executive director of CHAPS, guys, the UK's real-time gross settlement clearing company. He chairs the CHAPS Security Committee and User Group. Highly connected. Now in this video, I'm really not going to play too many clips, maybe like 3 clips of 30 seconds just to give you a taste. But essentially, one of the things he says here that I really like, and I'll start putting this in my talk track here, is he says, just like in the early 2000s, how the biggest winners in the industry like Apple, Amazon, Google, they all focused on doing one thing really well before initially spreading out their focus. Remember, Brad Garlinghouse, Yahoo executive, formerly before CEO of Ripple, talks about that concept, the peanut butter manifesto, not spreading yourselves too thin, going all in. And again, Ripple, they're focused on building an infrastructure for cross-border payments first. He said, well, Google went all in on search. They made that their thing. Then they can spread out to other things. And now we know that Google's, everywhere, with Google Drive, the cloud initiatives, things of that nature. But they owned their one vertical really well initially. Okay. Now remember, Ripple's been approached, and he said this as well in this interview. It's a great interview. Highly recommend checking it out. Again, fireside chat with Ripple, exploring payments innovation. The channel is Z/Yen Group. So again, he says Ripple's been approached for many great opportunities in, custody and storage, trade finance, etc. But he said right now they're focused on cross-border payments first and foremost, building these rails correctly from the get-go. And also understand that Ripple funded, $500 million for the Spring Initiative, X-Pring. I'm sure you guys have seen that as well. And also, There's just some crazy things that he says that I actually have to understand a little bit better, such as, for example, in this video specifically, he says with XRP, he says it transacts in microseconds. Now, I'm confused what specifically he meant. Maybe he's just comparing the 10-minute or hour transaction time for Bitcoin under congestion, but I was under the impression that XRP transfers over the XRP ledger in 3 to 5 seconds. And, you know, when it's both sides in human interaction as well, it could be 2 to 3 minutes when they're plugging, you know, making sure everything's good to go before clicking, and settlement between the exchanges, but the actual transfer of the payment and settlement is done in 3 to 5 seconds. So let me know what you guys think I'm missing down below in the comments. I'm not sure if he was referencing, you know, Cobalt, but again, from what we last heard from Ripple, I don't think Cobalt was even really a focus anymore, unless there's people working on it in the back end. So again, the XRP Ledger, a consensus model using a validator network. It's not a mined network like Bitcoin at all. What I do like in this video also is he explains how well the ISO 20022 standard for messaging, and even how XRP supports the liquidity movement and settlement across these networks together. So ISO, the standard of messaging between all the countries, and XRP for settlements actually complement one another extremely well. That's something that you should absolutely take note of. Another thing I want to bring up. He says that banks are actually being the receivers, whereas these payment companies and FIs are the senders, bringing those payments to the banks. And he also said, what I found interesting was that Ripple has roughly kind of an even split between these two types of customers. All right, now let me show you a few clips, and then we're going to get into additional information. So right here, pay attention to this.
I'd like some pointed answers to some of these. Given that you said you are not using Bitcoin for the transaction part, Chris Davids is curious, what is the relevance, if any, of Bitcoin to Ripple?
None.
Okay. Liz Thrussell is curious about what is the largest value you can transmit?
Oh, infinite.
Okay, good.
I just like that. All right, next up, right here.
XRP is a currency. Paul Parkinson points out that XRP is your currency abbreviation. And following on from that, Tim Coleman is quite interested in might XRP sit in an ETF, for example, as gold does?
I imagine so. I think the potential of XRP is huge because it's so uniquely designed for the needs of exchanging value. Whereas Bitcoin is very much a value holding design, XRP is a value transmission design. And I think what will happen is you get usage to build an XRP. You'll find layers of governance and layers of risk management around the asset. Now, that's not unique. I think with digital assets, as they're becoming much more mainstream, there is a common theme of the world kind of getting their heads around what these animals are, how to manage them differently, and how to think about the risk and how to think about smoothing over volatility. So I think in general, you'll see a lot more structure around digital assets as they become more mainstream.
All right, interesting. And then last but not least, just wanted to cover this right here. We're talking about the Belt and Road Initiative, guys. Makes you go,
And the driving growth throughout COVID-19.
Tim Coleman's asking, do you have any plans to become a fundamental part of the Belt Road Initiative? A lot of Chinese interest here at the moment.
By default, I think we will do by default because we are geared up for IoT transactions. We're geared up for traffic across networks.
Remember IoT, even think of like the group Mobi, for example.
That's like Swift have found it hard to get a toehold in. So we're very well positioned to be the engine of value exchange across the Belt and Road countries. So yeah, I would guess so.
Boom, love that. Now remember, guys, the groups that we're watching on this channel, if you've seen every video that I've done recently specifically, I know you guys are well aware of the groups that I'm referencing here. All right, so again, highly recommend watching this whole thing if you have time, but let's get into the additional information and then we'll call it a day. So Right here, guys, we know Volante, we heard the recent news, and just understand, Volpay is integrated with Ripple. There's no question. We've shown all the connections. Volante, ACI Worldwide, Finastra, all RippleNet partners. And yes, they are a part of even the RTP clearinghouse platform for the United States for domestic payments. And yeah, I get it. XRP, it's all about cross-border. But the interesting thing is even David Schwartz has alluded that there actually is a use case now for XRP domestically as well. Now, I understand that these systems are already highly efficient, but they do like the idea of 24/7 365 payment settlements as well for customers. And if you are holding XRP, you only have to pay one spread. You don't have to go between currencies. You don't have to go US dollar, convert to XRP, that's a fee, then XRP to euro, and that's a fee. You can just hold one currency, or XRP being that basket rather than a bunch of pre-funded accounts, and then apply this to the highly inefficient corridors as well. So it's something to consider. Now remember, Volante, Volpay integrated with XRP usage. Volante actually recently reached out and said, yeah, they can all utilize XRP if they want to. And I'll show you that as well. Now, FPS, remember, Love for Crypto found this document back in 2017 when it came out. FPS is the local payment network, okay, for the UK. Pay attention. We already know that they're connected. We've shown a bunch of connections for Target 2 specifically. Bank of Japan, come on, and SBI and all those groups. It's a done deal. And then China, we've actually kind of talked about the high value payment systems. But again, China's a little bit more foggy. I don't want to rant too much, but remember ACH and Fedwire, we kind of got the Nacho Alliance group and other groups and initiatives. We'll talk more about that in future videos as we get more and more developments, but please just check out those previous videos. All right, so we understand FPS integration. We know Zelle makes me think of even the connections with Stellar. We already know TIPS and RT1. Even the recent news in, the UAE region and, Saudi Arabia as well. Those are huge, obvious kind of points that we're pointing towards. So let's keep going. All right, so right here, Matthew Liny did crazy research recently, so he'll be tying it all together for us. So US Fedwire has the ability to settle with XRP according to Volante Tech. So now, again, it's not just some crazy YouTuber saying it. We are actually showing it straight from the proof, and I know a lot of people are showing this as well. And as we can see here, we'll just show you the screenshot if you want. So Volante says, Volante's platform can be used to settle through XRP via our Ripple connection. And they have the link as well. We can't wait to get more banks on board. So thank you, Matt, for asking this as well. And then right here, I know this has been gone over in recent articles, but again, in the future, First American Trust FSB will also be able to easily extend the service to other currently available payment types, such as ACH, makes me think of Nacha, the clearinghouse RTP. Remember, we're already connected with Finastra's Global Pay Plus, which is RippleNet enabled. Finastra is one of the technology providers in tandem with ACI Worldwide and Volante, right? And then Swift cross-border payments, etc. We talk about the ISO 20022 messaging, all right? And again, just talking about this new US payment system. All right, so Fed now, and I'm not saying XRP is going to be a part of that. I'm just showing that the integrations are there, okay? My focus for XRP is cross-border payments, but on-demand liquidity doesn't really interest me too much. The use case is awesome, but guys, keep your eyes on the prize and understand that there's big money looking, and there's just like simple stepping stones for each and everything. Look at the big groups, like we say every single time. Watch what R3 is doing. Watch what SBI is doing. The big boys in this market that are holding XRP as well. And SBI has one of the biggest market share, or is one of the biggest shareholders of R3 and Ripple. We've seen the documents. We've seen Katal. He might not have the best understanding of everything going on, but I can guarantee he has a higher level understanding than the majority of us, including me. But, and I'm just saying that, and I'm referencing that to kind of some past videos as well. But all right, so we are aware of that. Next up, so right here, Brian Brooks. Guys, remember, Steve Mnuchin's right-hand man. Steve Mnuchin obviously he was kind of head IT for Goldman Sachs. Now he is the Treasury Secretary of the US, Trump's right-hand man. Brian Brooks, again, the former legal officer at Coinbase. All right, so now we can see Chief of the OCC, who worked at Coinbase, directly oversees the First American Trust that selects Volante Technologies, who is a Ripple partner, to replace its legacy banking system. Guys, we can tie Brian Brooks as well to the past. I've seen some great dot connections recently as well, but let's just keep going. So Brian Brooks essentially, per April 1st of 2020, is head of the U.S. banking system. I'm sure that's just another coincidence, especially with this Coinbase background. As we know, everything is going digital. So Brian Brooks takes over as comptroller of the currency, lays out plans for banking regulations. Obviously, he's in favor of, cryptocurrency per his connections at Coinbase. We can see this, a federal savings bank regulated by the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, OCC, Brian Brooks, which offices in Southern California and Nevada. We keep going. Now, this is Volpe. This is the group, again, that I was referencing that is already connected with FPS, Zelle, Tips, all these types of payment initiatives and platforms. All right, so where are we? Right here. So again, you guys can literally find this yourself. This is the Ripple Connect product that Volpe even said, yes, we can utilize XRP. Ripple Connect was kind of an old term, and this has been around for years, just so you guys know. This is not recent developments, but we're bringing it up because there are new developments that are actually showing us how the history has all made sense. All right, so Ripple at the center of this. All right, feel free to screenshot this. You guys can find this pretty quickly, just Volpe and Ripple. All right. Next up, and again, talking with Volante, tying it all together, guys. Remember, we need these legacy systems and now these new systems to be bridged together as well so that everything can be tokenized. Whether it's tokenized or not, it doesn't matter for XRP as the bridge asset regardless. But I'm just showing you that stocks and equities, all of these things are going to be tokenized, asset fractionalization benefits, the connection of payment networks like we've talked about with Interledger Protocol. It is all connected. There are not that many coincidences in this space, guys. All right. And again, talking about cloud. Well, we had news with RippleNet Cloud. We have news with all these other groups as well. We understand that this is all tied to Microsoft Azure. Fun fact. Microsoft runs a validator on the XRP ledger. Okay, who else? Well, guess what? Ripple's teaming up with Amazon Web Services, their cloud platform, for a bunch of hosting as well. Eventually, you're going to understand there are no coincidences in this game, and it is simply a matter of time. All right. So next up, well, let me see. Did I miss anything? Nope. All right. Now, again, guys, XRP Nuts, one of the original researchers in this group as well. So again, Volante, Volpe, their product, Ripple partner. We have some videos, and I just want to show you the screenshots as well. So again, Volpe, cross-border payments. We can see, connect. Right here, Earthport, again, a RippleNet customer, thanks, and also acquired by Visa. We have Ripple, named specifically. We have Swift and Swift GPI. I think all of these groups are going to be complementing each other, guys. And again, cross-border clearing and settlement mechanisms worldwide. So remember, clearing, reconciliation, messaging, kind of all the same thing, but settlement is the physical delivery of payment, and that is where XRP comes in. This is the most important, and this is actually allowing all those pre-funded accounts globally to be reduced and go after new revenue streams as well. It's all about having working capital in place. All right. This is so obvious once you really start looking at what is being built here, guys. All right. Next up, again, volantetech.com. So again, XRP Nuts just showing this, talking about, you can look through the API library, highly recommend. Again, tapping into the power of cross-border processing based on DLT. Ripple is one of the biggest groups in the world. And guess what? One of the first group that's focused on DLT joining the ISO standards body. Why? It's not just consulting, guys. When you are connected and already working with the top 40, 50 central banks of the world, please read between the lines. Those that read between the lines the correct way, and also diversifying these assets and the winning assets, are going to come out of this revolution insanely well off. Okay, straight through processing, lower per transaction cost, all right, margins, volatility, risk, compliance, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And again, RTP, just like we mentioned, UK's FPS. We also have the SPEI of Mexico, many others, real-time payment systems in the US. We got Zelle, we got Tips, RT1 in the European Union. All right, and the Euro system is massive. All pretty obvious, guys. Multi-currency, 24/7 real-time value. I think we can see where this is going, okay? Volpe supports Ripple. Again, from Ripple to showing the combination, greatly simplifying banks integration, and teaming up with all of these groups. Volante is a critical partner for building Ripple's new real-time data-rich payments network. Interesting. All right, thank you for sharing that. Next up, again, we've already shown this, but I just want to show you one more time. So Matthew, LINY, First American Trust, FSB, selects Volante Technologies, Ripple partner, US Fedwire as a service in the cloud. So we can understand by automating wire processing in the cloud, banks will benefit from resilient, reliable, scalable payments technology. So again, cloud, highly resilient, not as many hardware costs. We get the gist. All right. Especially when you can kind of do this in, from all areas. You don't have to actually be at the physical site. We get the benefits for all you, old timers that worked with a lot of hardware as well. So as you know, everything's going cloud. You hear more software as a service terms. All right. It's all happening. So selects Volante. And as we can see, right here, this gentleman, Agent Brockaloo, I think. So just saying, even right here, Volante's Volpay, RippleNet API, of course, and already has a run a service option via Microsoft Azure. Now, I'm not sure if you, I mean, I've heard Azure, tomato, burrito, whatever you guys want to say. But again, this has hookups to Fedwire as well. All right. And I always refer back to this group starting 2020 to 2025, actually incorporating the XRP ledger, not just ILP and messaging and, all that fancy stuff. All right. Again, not financial advice, but this is made by one of the anywhere from the 4th to the 6th largest IT groups in the world. Okay. All right. Where are we at? Right here, we're going to finish up with this clip. Again, Jack the Rippler. This is just old but gold, 50-second clip of Brad Garlinghouse. And I just want you guys to hear it if you are a newcomer, if you've maybe started buying XRP or just holding and investing and learning this year. This is something you definitely want to see. All right, so listen up. And again, this is back at, I believe, what was it, 2019? Yep, Swell 2019. So check this out, guys. Talking about on-demand liquidity, leveraging XRP. Brad Garlinghouse, of course, all these Ripple employees cannot speculate on the price. It's illegal for them to do so. They have to be, very, vague about such predictions because it is dangerous for their own company, for, compliance reasons, security reasons. You get the gist. But he's even just a very methodical political guy trying to get banks to like their technology, hook them with the 40% savings or so, and then eventually ramping up to that, 40 to 60 or even 70% savings with XRP for those corridors that are highly inefficient. XRP is a no-brainer. Once we get that liquidity can build additional liquidity for even the tighter corridors. But this is a marathon, okay? Not just a quick race. There's a method to the madness, and everything has to be done in certain building blocks. Okay, so listen up.
And another thing I mentioned to David backstage, I was in talking to one of the largest global money center banks on the planet, and I was talking to about our primary product, fiat to fiat, called XCurrent. And this guy kind of interrupts me. He's like, yeah.
Actually, I'm not sure, was this at Swell or was this just another conference? But again, just referencing Interbank Peru when they joined, one of the biggest banks, XRP Store, kind of referencing that. This may have been at this conference, so I do apologize.
And this guy kind of interrupts me. He's like, yeah, that's nice. But I have a problem settling into Peru. Can I use XRP to help me settle into Peru? And honestly, I was like, holy shit. Like, here's one of the biggest banks in the world who has more liquidity than almost anybody out there. And I'm not even trying to talk to him about crypto and digital assets. I'm trying to talk to him about the core of fiat to fiat. And, he's already looking ahead and realizing that, look, this is something that can help me solve a problem in Peru. And I don't want to necessarily hold currency in Peru from an inflation point of view or a regulatory risk point of view, compliance risk. So they're looking for other solutions. And again, if you solve a real problem for real customers, it's going to work out.
Incredible.
All right, guys. Again, remember to check the links in the video description for all things related to cryptocurrency. Shout out to my top channel members, JCR Central, Jamie XRP, Crypto Beginner, Philip Price, Ken Melendez, XRP Holder 4, and XRP Blast. Thank you, guys. Appreciate all of you that hit the like button, share this video around, and until next time.